I think that was the difference. I was like, this process can be really, really fun. Like I can learn so many cool different things. I'll just say yes to everything and figure it out later.
And I urge everyone that's watching this, get around people that challenge that.
So then you get this percentage. So like you want to spend 16% of your time for your entire life or the year doing this activity.
Everything that we do is all tactical strategies, stuff like that. But nobody, and like absolutely nobody talks about what kind of human you want to be, what kind of father you want to be.
So if you hover in there, like you're going to be pretty good.
These are things that are going to allow you to create an environment where you are whole so that you can be the leader that your company needs. Welcome back, everyone. Episode 5 of the Built for More podcast. My name is Ryan Charterina, founder of Peakform Advisory. This podcast was designed if you're a 7 or 8 figure business owner, and today especially, if you're a human being that is not getting what you want out of your life, I think today is going to be an awesome conversation for you to really look down at, like deep down into your life, and is this really what I want out of my life? So if you're a 7 or 8 figure business owner, this podcast was designed for you. If you're running around putting out fires, you're not able to live the life that you want. These are all just knowledge and skill things that you have not yet acquired on how to actually achieve that. So super excited to bring on the guest today, Clinton Crawford. So Clinton is an EOS implementer like myself. And he has quite the story to share that I think will hopefully shock a lot of you into doing the thing that you actually want to do with your life. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks, dude. Stoked to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your, let's just start with, where do you live right now?
Right now, I'm living in the southwestern part of Sumatra, Indonesia.
And can you tell some of the viewers, how did you get to the point where like that actually happened? So that they have an understanding of like what led to that journey.
Yeah. It was a long one. It was definitely not short. It all started out growing up. We both grew up here at the Jersey Shore, being a lifeguard during college, just spending a lot of time at the beach, being into surfing. Every surfer's dream is to find remote, empty waves with nobody around. And I had always had this vision of, I guess I was unrealistic as a young kid. Every kid dreams, every kid has these big ideas. And for some reason, I just listened to my parents when they said you can be whatever you want. And I took it pretty seriously.
Like, wow, that's awesome.
I was like, that's cool. I'm going to stick with that one. And I'd had this vision of life can be a dream every single day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a space where people could experience their version of the dream in a contained environment where it had to be the dream. So they could take a piece of it and bring it home with them, where they could then experience that later. So that was, my goal was to find a remote left-hand point break on a tropical island and build like a wellness surf resort. And that came to fruition in my head at like 16. And I'm 32 now. So that's 16 years of pursuing this one specific goal. So I will say I'm unique than I think most people in having like a singular, clear goal for half of my life.
What would you say for people that, I hear you say you're unique, but I don't think so. I think everyone has their version of the dream at a really young age, but at some point they just like give up on it. Like, what do you say? Yeah. What do you say for some people that like they have like that, that version of the dream was in your head at such a young age, but you didn't let it go? Like, what was going on in your head that you're like, I'm not letting this go. Like, I'm going after this.
Yeah. That's a really good point, and that's a good reframe of that.
This is why we do it. By the way, everyone, we do the same stuff, so we do this stuff to each other all the time, and it's hilarious.
So the real reason I think the main driver behind that was when I was 14, I had met a dude who was 87, his name was Richard Garr. He was part of the Department of Education for the state of New Jersey and taught a course on human design, I believe, at Fairfield University. And we had just met and we had like, didn't know each other, but had this like soul connection, which is hard to explain, but you look at someone and you're like, I know you.
Yep.
Like, where do I know you from? And we both felt the same way. So we would go for walks on the boardwalk. I'd be running the boardwalk or something. We'd run into each other. And we'd end up having these 3-4 hour conversations once, 2 times a year. And he basically broke down his human design master's course for me on our walks, like in 14-year-old terms. Yes. And it kind of, he was basically explaining to me, like, if you have an idea or a dream, get clear about what it is, set the first step of the plan, and then be willing to alter the plan every step of the way. Just stick with the goal and continue to edit as you move along the way.
Yep.
And it just stuck with me. And I was like, cool. So all I have to do is just try something and then revise, and then try something and then revise. And as long as I get one little step closer, then eventually it'll happen.
Yep.
And that dream to me was so powerful that it felt like it was worth it if it took me 30 years. My initial goal was to have this done at like the age of 40. And then things just aligned where I had to do it 9 years ahead of time.
So many nuggets there. But I guess what is the one thing or the one or two things that when people go through life, they give up on that childhood dream, they give up on that thing that they always thought they wanted? Like, what goes through someone's head that allows them to just give that up?
That it's hard.
Based on your experience.
Yeah, no, that it's hard. And like they don't find enjoyment in the process of the hard. Like, it is much easier to go have a 9-to-5 job with security and benefits and like know you're going to make a guaranteed amount of money every week by showing up. And for me, that I see that a lot. People want the route that's reliable. And I knew that, I think that was the difference. I was like, this process can be really, really fun. Like, I can learn so many cool different things. I'll just say yes to everything and figure it out later. And then I think that's where most people, they're not sure if they're going to be able to figure it out later. So they go with a thing that gives them security. And I think there's a huge part of it where I don't know what the age is, but there's a certain point where it goes from being, everyone is telling you you can be whatever you want.
Yep.
And then there's this tipping point where then people start telling you that's unrealistic. And I think that's the killer out of all of it, that shift.
I think something that, I'll speak for the both of us that, we're both super grateful for is, the community that we're a part of like people that won't accept that for us. And then us, the two of us not accepting that for each other. And I think the lesson that I've learned along the way is it's all about who you surround yourself with. Like, your parents at a young age being like, you can do whatever you want. I love my parents, but they didn't have that vision. They didn't get it. They didn't see that. And I think that is like insanely valuable. So, I mean, I think a good parenting tip here too is like something I'm going to take on from this conversation. There's no limits for anything my kids will ever do. Because like the only thing stopping you is you. I think that's a super valuable piece of advice that your parents had kind of ingrained in your head that led to you taking on like, hey, this is my dream.
As you say that, I think about it. I think the deeper driver was, and it ties to my parents. They obviously said you can be whatever you want. They were always super, super supportive. I'm super lucky in that regard. But my dad went to medical. So my dad's father died when he was 12. And he said, Steve, you'd be a great doctor on his deathbed to a 12-year-old. So like things are kind of made up for him at that point.
Yeah.
And my dad then has this mission of becoming a doctor.
Huh.
He goes to medical school, or he goes to college, and he's like, I'm going to take all the really hard biology courses because the medical schools will recognize that I'm trying, even if I don't do well.
Yep.
He was blatantly wrong. Didn't get into any American medical schools. But he's like super determined.
Yeah.
So then he's moonlighting at this ER near the college he went to, met some doctors. This is like 1970s, had just gotten back from getting their license in Italy. And he was like, wait, I can go get my license in Italy? And they're like, yeah. You just transfer the last semester to a Caribbean school and you get a U.S. medical license. So he was like, cool. So he ended up getting acceptance to the University of Palermo in Sicily and moved to Sicily and learned medicine in Italian without knowing Italian. And then he would spend 6 months in Italy studying and sitting for exams, and then would come back and work on the railroad for 6 months and then go back to Italy.
Sick.
And it took him 8 years. So I guess the point of that and why that was like really the big difference was I had my, everybody when you're growing up, your dad's your role model.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
they're like the dude you want to be.
Yep.
My dad achieved a very hard normal goal, like a traditional path with an untraditional method. So I had an example of the person that, when I learned that, I was probably around 14.
Yep.
And that I think kind of like was realistically the driver that was like, oh, you can do whatever you want.
Possible.
Like it doesn't matter just as long as you have the goal in mind. So I think the parenting thing was huge. That's a unique scenario. But yeah, I think it's even beyond parenting. It's like friends. Yeah. There's a lot of friends that I've had over the years, and I'm sure you've run into them, 100%. And I hear other people talk about it. The relationships that you keep closest to you, the people that you have the highest level of interaction with, set the standard for what you accept as normal, what you tolerate, what you think about, and like that's like the highest leverage aspect of your life that you can pull to become the person you want.
For everyone listening, Clinton's 32 years old. He moved literally across the world, and I'll never forget the phone call. He calls me like, "Hey man, I'm thinking of moving to Indonesia." I was like, "That's awesome."
Well, you surf, so that.
Like that, yeah. And I'm a surfer too, so I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna visit." So when I coordinate and schedule it all out. But I mean, I think for everyone here in New Jersey, it's such a just like, what? And I think New Jersey is a very specific place in the U.S. where like everyone is just going to grind as hard as they possibly can, even more so than anywhere I think in the world. I would argue that New Jersey is probably it's an ego thing, it's a personality thing, it's an environment thing that we all just go harder than anyone in the world.
I have a question for you around that. I agree that New Jersey is probably, this tri-state area is one of the highest productivity rate areas in the world. Do you think that its level of creativity matches and imagination matches its level of productivity?
Probably not.
No?
No, I think we just work so hard. Everyone here in New Jersey just goes so hard that there is no room for that. Not no room, but there's less room, which then it doesn't allow for the expansion. Like even myself, dude, I'm like I just keep my thing. I keep going the same way, and I need, dude, someone like you. It just shocks my system. Like, does it need to be this way? And I urge everyone that's watching this, get around people that challenge that. Because like I'm the guy who's like, here's my routine. I'm organized. I'm consistent. I do this, and then someone comes in like Clinton who just shocks that. And it's like, didn't think about that. Literally on like earlier today.
Well, I feel like talking about like, I do think I slightly disagree, but I think the people that are extra creative in New Jersey don't have the same, and it's not work ethic, but like those parts of the brain work so differently. Yeah. To be so creative, it's hard to push so hard on that because it blocks the creative, but then while being so productive, you're so locked in that it doesn't leave as much room. So I guess like my biggest takeaway would be like form friendships with people that maybe even aren't here, that embody the complete opposite of you, to start to create more balance if you feel like you're the type of person that is so locked in. But then there's the other side of like, I've also equally been locked in on this singular objective for half of my life. Yep. But the creativity comes in the aspect of like the path to get there. So I feel like that it's just being able to be flexible in what you need to be doing outside of beyond 90 days. Yeah. Like being flexible in that, but being very rigid in what needs to happen right now and applying that type of mindset to achieving whatever your dream is.
So Clint and I got connected. Like I won't forget this either. You know, we have our EOS, quarterly events, and we kind of saw each other and like,
You're under 30.
you're the only guy that's in like early 30s or whatever. Whenever we met, and so we started talking. I don't even know how it came up about you being a surfer, and I was like, I surf. You grew up in New Jersey.
And then we
I grew up in
realized
New
we're
Jersey.
from like the same county.
What in the world? And like we met. Was that in Detroit? Where was that?
No, that would have to be Denver.
Yeah, I don't remember where it was.
Or
maybe the annual.
I don't think I've been to anything outside of Denver.
Whatever. We met at this, and we started talking, and just stayed connected. And something that like really attracted me to like your mindset was, and you started talking about this thing called the intentional lifestyle design, your intentional life design. Because a lot of people, and again, especially here in New Jersey, we all go, I need to build the business to support my lifestyle, when your mindset and one of our mentors' mindsets is the complete opposite. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? How do you practice that in your life? How do you help other people do that? And just kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, that all came from, I was doing like a light version of it when I was younger. Everything we were just talking about was like that.
Yeah.
But then I had always I really didn't want to spend a lot of hours working. That just didn't feel like the right thing to me. And so I had built a business that was doing well. It had gotten to a point where I was able to step out of the day-to-day. It was more of like a board advisor seat. And then I was like, cool, what do I want to do from like a passion standpoint? I joined a company that was a health and wellness company that was focused on biometric PCR testing paired with functional medicines consults. And they brought in an EOS implementer. The EOS implementer, which was my exposure, helped us like 5x that year. It was a lot of good growth. The wheels didn't fall off the bus, and we all stayed in our own lane and helped each other. So then I was like, oh, sick. This is a way better version of what I did. Let me put this into my thing. And it just kind of opened up a can of worms. It showed me all the things that I didn't see and all the problems I had. So now I'm like working a ton in the business that I wasn't before. I'm working a ton in this company that's 5Xing. I'm having relationship issues with the girlfriend I'm living at the time. And everything just kind of came to a head. And I ended up getting really, really sick, diagnosed with a rare autoimmune liver condition. I was hospitalized, had an episode of liver cirrhosis. And I got this diagnosis that basically like the next question was like, what's going to happen when I get cancer or when I go into liver failure? And the likelihood of making it through that isn't 100%.
Yeah.
The likelihood was like below 50%.
Jeez.
And I had a 20-year timeline. So now I'm kind of put up against the wall, racing against the clock at 27. So I'm like, so I might only make it to 47, which is ironically when my grandfather died and I'm named after him.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like an interesting sign from the universe, whatever you want to call it, just like one of those weird moments. So, I'm like, okay, well, I need to like get really, really serious about my lifestyle.
Yep.
And
that'll definitely do it.
Yeah, and most people don't experience that, and I hope most people never do.
Yep.
But it was probably the most valuable moment in my life up to this point.
Interesting.
It was the most beautiful moment because it brought so much clarity. Normally, you don't get that type of clarity until you're old.
Yeah.
Like in your 80s or 90s, and you're really sick. And because when you're sick, the only thing that you're thinking about is being healthy. I was bedridden for a month afterwards. Like, couldn't walk, couldn't like do anything. It was debilitating. So all I'm thinking about is just taking a breath and it feeling good. Like all the stress from my work, from my relationship, none of it mattered. It all just went out the window. And so at the time I'm like talking to the doctors and I was like, all right, well, like what caused this disease? And they're like, we don't really know. I'm like, well, let's just fucking talk to me. Let's
just hit me.
Yeah, let's just like talk through it. And we got down to, they're like, well, you were stressed for a really long time, so you created an inflammatory environment in your body. Cortisol levels were increased, so you changed the chemical balance of your body for an extended period of time. So I'm like, all right. So, like, without being like too sciencey, like my genes express based off the environment that they exist in. Your DNA expresses based off of the chemical input in your body.
Huh.
So I'm like, I created this chemical balance, and the genes are reacting to the chemical balance, and that's what's causing the expression of this disease. So like I'll always have this disease, but it'll just express differently, is what you guys are telling me. They're like, yeah, like you were predisposed in your genes. And I was like, okay. So I'm stressed, which is causing cortisol. I'm stressed because of my perspective and the way that I'm thinking and my thought process. They're like, yes.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, so I need to change the internal environment in my body so the gene or the disease expresses differently, like to make it simple. They were like, yeah. So I was like, cool.
Done.
That's like, at least I have a path to go down.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'm racing against the clock. I don't want to like, you know, if I have a family and I have kids, which is something I wanted, I'm not going to, you know, kick out early and leave them all behind. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get serious about this. I have no other choice. Nothing else matters. I need to be healthy. So I kind of lock in and I'm like, all right, well, I need self-knowledge, self-reflection. I need awareness of like who I am, my perspective on the situations, which are, I'm on the right path, but I'm viewing everything incorrectly. So like I'm doing all the right stuff. I need to see it differently and I need to think about it differently. How the fuck do I do that? And like the first thing I had was like a journal, right? Like journal is a well-known tool for self-reflection. And I'm like journaling and I'm like following these specific 5 prompts. So I'm going through the journaling and I'm getting all this data around my life. And I'm seeing like how I react and how I feel. Because it's like, how do I feel today? What did I do yesterday? What do I want for tomorrow? And then like a mantra to send me into the day.
Yeah.
And then like 3 things I'm grateful for. So I'm doing the same thing at the same time every day. And I'm starting to see some patterns. But I have no information. Like I'm getting the downstream information. But I don't have the information on the upstream inputs that are causing the downstream data. So I'm like, I don't understand why I feel this way still. Like I don't have the specifics.
Yep.
Granted, I'm going way psycho mode on this, more than most people ever would want to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well I need to change like biological markers in my body. And what's causing the biological markers is the inputs in my life and my response to them. So I need to start getting really granular. Like the journal is just like one surface of the system. I started because I'm going through EOS at the time and I'm seeing this whole holistic approach of like, there's 6 different surfaces that are producing data at a regular basis that one surface alone doesn't provide you with clarity.
Yep.
One surface alone gives you some information, but no actionable information.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, like I can be a little bit of a psycho right now. Like, why don't I datatize my emotional response to the external world? And let me come up with the different surfaces that give me the full picture, the full system, like EOS, so I can actually evaluate things that are going to move the needle. And I've got a very clear needle, biological markers.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'm doing regular blood work, getting testing done to like see what my markers are. I need to move them. What are the activities in my life? Like, and it started with relationships, like we were just talking about, like who are the people? What do I want? The relationships in my life. What kind of support do I want to receive? If I'm receiving certain type of support, it changes my ceiling for what I see as normal and what I tolerate. And then like, what are the activities that I'm doing? For how long? What are they making me feel like? What are the things that I believe make me grow as a person? Am I actually committed to doing them? Like, what do I want financially for the future? How much time do I want to be spending and trading for this financial gain in my life? So I start coming up with all these different surfaces. And then I start observing the surfaces and gathering data. And breaking all that down started giving me clarity as to where, when I did this, like I could see what type of person I was like during a bad week when I was overwhelmed. And I could see the emotional response and I could see the biological markers. And then I could also see the type of person that I was during good weeks when I was in a rhythm and I was doing things that fulfilled me and pursuing my work and I could see what that did to the biological markers. So then it started giving me clarity on like, okay, now I kind of know what things need to move and what things need to change over time. So the way that I've been doing it, like at first, I ended up not like, I can't confidently say I cured this disease. There's no way to really know. But I did change the way that the disease expressed itself based off the environment I created. Like the person sitting here isn't the same person that sat down to journal for the first time after getting sick.
It's crazy.
I'm tremendously different in my headspace and like my internal environment. And my biological markers would tell you that. So I had like very hard evidence to track. So I was like, cool, like year and a half later, like I haven't had a liver episode since. I'm supposed to have one every single year and be bedridden for a month. I haven't had one in 5+ years.
Wow.
So I was like, cool, this is like, maybe this could be useful to other people. And I just started sharing it because I'm working with CEOs, because at this point I ended up going the route of becoming an EOS implementer. And I was like, why don't I just share this with other people that are running businesses? Like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not the only person. So I started going through it with other people, and I'm like, well, the way I did it was a psycho, and I don't expect anyone else to go the same route. So I'm like, what aspects of this do you think are useful? Which ones aren't? And I did it with probably like over the course of like 3 years, I did it with like 100 CEOs. And then it just magically became its own thing. I walked through it with someone, and they were just like, all right, how much? And I was like, nothing.
$10.
They're just like, no, I want to pay you. This is super valuable. Like, this will help me.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, I actually have created something that will be valuable to other people on my own through my own experience.
That's awesome.
So then it's like, to answer your question about like how I help other people with it, it's similar to EOS in the sense of like, we got to take a beat and slow down at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we need to reorganize. Like the beginning of this is learning the execution tools, like learning how to use the tools that I created to be able to actually execute on your long-term vision, not for your business, but like your life and your business together. Because so many people, as you know, we put a lot of intention into designing our business, yet we don't match the amount of intention that goes into designing our life and the lifestyle that we seek.
And you know, one of our mentors, shout out Rusnak.
Shout out Scott.
Scott Rusnak, absolute legend. But you know, I was challenged on this by him, and you know, this is why I appreciate hanging around you guys, because you know, I think one day
we should plug his book, The Architect of Your Life. I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
Read it.
Very good book.
Scott is the definition of I'm going to do it and figure it out. However, he's insanely intentional. You know, something that he challenged me on, and you know, this is the same thing with designing your life first. Is well, you know, my version, you know, years ago when I was, you know, 3.5 years ago, way early on in EOS, I was like, well, you know, I just want to come and go as I please. I want to do whatever I want. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, damn it. And it was a long, just like uncomfortable, like what do I really want? And that one question, like if you want to go impact any of your friends, your family, relatives, anyone, ask them what do you want from your life that you're not getting today? And I want to challenge everyone to go do that to people that you love, because if you really love them, you'll ask them that question. Because honestly, in my experience, 75% of people have no idea. No one's ever even.
That's even higher.
Yeah. No. And the dude, like he asked me, and I was like, he's like, you do realize that if you just get clear on what the thing is that you want in your life, that we can just go do that and schedule it into our schedules so that we get to do what we want every single day and be intentional about it. I was like, dude, what?
So I started doing this exercise with people called the Dream Time exercise. So I have people walk through, and this like ties into it. It takes multiple iterations. Everything that I learned and that I'm teaching people is there's no way you get this right on the first try.
With anything.
It takes like realistically to really dial it in. You're looking between 12 to 20 iterations of these things. So like the Dream Time exercise, like my question to you is like, what is your favorite shit to do? Like, what are the things that you really like doing? You know, most people are like, there's a sport in there's reading, there's some type of sometimes creative activity, time with kids, time with parents, time outside. And it comes down and I go, okay, if money didn't matter, like you just have, let's say you sleep 8 hours a day, you got 16 hours a day to do whatever you want. How many hours per day would you do that activity? In a perfect world, like what's the right amount? Write it down. Okay. Multiply that by 7. Okay. Multiply that by 52. Then divide it by 5,240, I think. And you get, so then you get this percentage. So like you want to spend 16% of your time for your entire life or the year doing this activity. And then I go, okay, add up all those percentages. Most people land between 70 to 80% of their time. So like there's just dead space of 20, like, so it just kind of, even when you break it down and people give you like generic answers, like you haven't filled up all of your time.
Yeah.
So when I've done that with people, it's kind of like a guiding marker to show you how much you want to work in your life. And it becomes a goal, and it's this thing that allows you to start thinking through it, because you do it once, you leave it. Just leave the list. Don't even touch it. 7 days later, look at it again. Make edits to it. Put it away. Come back again. And do that for 3 months straight.
Yep.
It takes 10 minutes once a week.
Yeah.
And if you just do that, by the end of the 3 months, you'd be like, I know exactly how I'd spend my time if I had nothing but time and unlimited, like, you know, reasonable amount of money to kind of do the things I wanted.
And, you know, the people that this podcast is directed at are people who, like, realistically, money.
I'll say they love to work.
No, money isn't, it really isn't needed. Like a lot of the things that you talk about in the 70 to 80%, like if you remove the status stuff, the ego stuff, the how I look to my friends and neighbors stuff, like you don't need money. You don't need money right now to have all the things that you want on that list, because ultimately probably half of that stuff is free. Like I spend my mornings playing beach volleyball. I'm up 5:30 in the morning. I prioritize it, 2 to 3 times a week. I'm at the gym at 6 a.m. Like I refuse to not play. Like I refuse. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to do that. There's been some things that have fallen out, like I haven't surfed as much anymore. I would love to, and the reality of the situation is I need to prioritize it more and create the space to do that. And it's become more, I'm working towards that. But it's become more challenging as a father of 2, a husband, business owner. There's a lot going on, and it's an excuse. Ultimately, if that's something that I really want, I'm just making excuses for myself. And yeah.
Why do you think the excuses are coming up?
It's either I don't really want it, or it's just not a priority in my life. Because to me, it's one of the two. It's either it's not a priority in my life, or I'm leaning into what's comfortable, which is just work more. It's just one of the two of those things. Because I spend a great amount of time with my family. This is something I always dreamed of. This morning, I was hanging out with the family until 10:30 in the morning. Awesome. It's something I've always dreamed of. And it's something that I value so much. But I'm going to prioritize family time over surf time. So
what I'm hearing is that as you've evolved and gotten older, what I'm about to say is true for everybody, what has value to you in your activities changes.
For sure. And I think especially becoming a parent and recognizing how much intentionality and effort and looking at what I want, very similar to the question. What I want is to be a present father, a present husband, and I want to be able to do the things I love to do. like, which is, volleyball is one of those priorities, competing, going to the gym, working out, eating healthy, and then the business stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, saying it out loud, it's the business stuff. I love it, but it's not the number one priority.
Do you feel like at any point, do you feel like you're not doing potentially enough of the things that make, like if you remove the family thing for a second, which is tough to do, 100%, like just for a second, and thought about, okay, what is the stuff that makes Ryan completely whole? Like all the way around the full spectrum. Like what are all of the things that completely fill you up?
I love sports. I love competing. I mean, in college, I would play basketball. That's when I started playing volleyball. I mean, I played sports for hours every single day. Probably wasn't as good of a student as a result of that, but like it was super fun, and it was getting to like use my body and exercise, move around, like that stuff. I love.
Okay. What else outside of sports makes you whole? Because everybody has these,
family. I mean, besides family,
just as Ryan is an individual without family involvement, like there's obviously like everyone has some form of creative side, everyone has some form of spiritual side, everyone has a physical side, everyone has a social side. So like when you're thinking, and you might have other things that you're thinking of, but like if you just remove all family, all obligations, what completely fills Ryan to the brim and makes you like the most content, happy version of yourself?
Dude, I was talking, and you're gonna be like, no, you. But I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I have everything that I ever wanted, like, and I think the cool part about that is, like, I don't need anything more. I have everything that I want, and I have full control on whether or not I want to change those priorities. Mm-hmm. I think there are things in my head that I kind of am like, I'm super logical, and I think your perspective of leaning into more of the emotions is something that I could for sure benefit from. So I think to make me whole, so I think sharing in the ability to change whatever I want, whatever priority I want in my life, I think that's the goal for me. And I think in order for me to be whole, leaning into those emotions is super, super important, that I tend to just not. So like, relationships, and this is something that I struggle with too. Because, I have goals for my life, and then some of the relationships, we talked about it before, about along the way that drag, either myself back to a place that I don't want to be anymore, back to a person that I don't want to be anymore. So I think elevating the people in my life, being insanely intentional about who I allow in my life. I know Scott I don't know if he told you about the whole what was it, Dunbar's number or something?
I don't think
the 5-15-50 thing?
No.
Super cool one. So you have room for only so many relationships in your life. And so something he challenged me to do is throw down 5 names of like the core people in your life that you absolutely love and want to be a part, or a huge part of your life. Then you have a circle of 15, and then outside of that's a circle of 50. And I even drew that down to 30, because I'm like, I want to be really, 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 really intentional about my environment, because it's ultimately everything that I could ever want for myself or for anybody in my life comes from that environment. So to answer your question, long-winded, it's sports, it's good food, it's good people.
Well, when it comes to good food, do you find joy in cooking the food?
Absolutely not. If my wife watches this, she'll be like, yeah, right. No, I just love eating food.
Okay.
Just all different types of food. Like, there's just so many little things that I feel like are easy to just ignore by just going more into business. And that's why I think reining this back to what kind of life that we all want to design first, and then we build the business around that. Mm-hmm. Because everything that we do is all tactical strategies, stuff like that. But nobody, and like absolutely nobody, talks about what kind of human you want to be, what kind of father you want to be. It all gets put on the back burner. So I guess for you, what sorts of things have you seen in, doing EOS with various different founders, leaders, CEOs, in terms of that personal / business, like the back and forth between the two?
Yeah. So I had a buddy who was a Navy SEAL, and he, when he got out of the service, went and was the COO of a golf and surf resort in northern Mexico. Very cool. And they were implementing EOS, and then we ended up doing the intentional lifestyle design together. What I saw in him was he had been working at this job on the leadership team, doing very well. He's a very disciplined guy, obviously, with being a SEAL. Really emotionally intelligent, maybe even a little bit to his own fault sometimes. And he was getting stressed with work. He wasn't like feeling like there was the path forward. And as we went through it, it allowed him, I saw him start to gain more control of like dictating his emotional flow. Like throughout the day, he was able to recognize when he would be, because like people think that energy, like we should only be doing, and this one's controversial if I think for a lot of people, we should only be doing the things that we love and give us energy. I think that's bullshit.
Ooh.
I personally
love
think
this.
that's bullshit.
Let's dive in.
I think that when you're doing nothing but there's no yin and yang to that. There's no balance of the opposites, which is what makes the whole world go round.
Huh.
Like if you're just doing things that only give you energy nonstop, you get to the state of like pseudo paranoia because you have too much energy.
Huh.
You're no longer logical because you're on such a high. Is my, I don't make decisions as rationally.
Yeah.
I am less like thoughtful. I'm just running on like the high.
Interesting.
So my philosophy is that like you got to get the yin and the yang. So like,
so what does that look like? I guess
I guess I have this scale that I call the dope zone. The dope zone is a state of mind like where you're absolutely unfuckable with. Like your mindset.
Did you make that word up?
Unfuckable with? Yeah. There's a hyphen in there. But you're just so chill.
Yeah.
Like everything that happens, good or bad, it's still all dope.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. And everybody like listening, you've been there, I've been there, like you got 8 hours of sleep. You worked out. You got to spend time with your family. You made money. You created something with your hands. You spent time in nature. You did all these things, right? You ate healthy foods. You were able to have romantic relationship. Like you filled every little bucket. And then you got solid 8 hours of sleep. You wake up so zen. Like everything's all good.
Yep.
You walk outside, your car tire's flat. All good.
I don't care.
Like not a problem. It's fine. I'll take care of that. It's all good. Like I'm in such a good way that like you can't rub me the wrong way.
Huh.
So that's like, instead of being like, I'm on top of the world, it's more like, dude, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like that's where we really want to be.
So I mean, like in theory, that sounds awesome. Like how does somebody get to a place where they are operating from a just straight Zen perspective where that, listen, good, bad, or ugly, like
this one takes a little bit of time to do, but it's worth the effort when you do it.
It's interesting because I feel like I grew up, and I don't know why, but I feel like I have that where, listen, if something bad happens, like, okay. Yeah. But I find a lot of other people can hone in on that bad thing and let it ruin their entire month.
100%.
So I don't know what things I've done personally to acquire that, or if that just was a product of my environment.
Sometimes you're just born with it.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't believe that. I think that. Product of environment.
So the way that I did it myself and have taught people, and I'm not perfect. Like I still have my moments, but the whole theory is like you're creating a catalog of all of the activities that you perform, all the driving down the highway for a certain amount of time in certain weather, driving in the back roads. If you go surf for 30 minutes, the energy impact that you experience is different than when you surf for 3 hours. So like when people say surfing fills me up, energetically, I'm also like, that's bullshit. Like if you surf for 8 hours, you're cooked.
You're dead.
Like you're so tired.
Yeah.
If you surf for 30 minutes and you get a barrel or something, you might be like on top of the world energy wise.
Yeah.
So like you could go run a marathon after that. You would not run a marathon after surfing for 8 hours.
No.
So creating a catalog of the energetic impact that performing a specific activity for a specific duration has. And you measure it. My scale is it's in increments of 1 from 0, from no activity is in net negative. An activity doing anything gives or takes energy. So it's in increments of 1 up to 5 and down to -5. I came to see, like, as a good guiding tool, the dope zone is a -2 to a +2. So if you hover in there, like, you're going to be pretty good. Like, too much energy above that, 3 to 5, you're almost fanatic because you have too much energy and you're not thinking things through. If you're below a -2, your mental framework is starting to deteriorate in maintaining a positive perspective.
Interesting.
So then you start tracking the activities you do, right? So like you just spend the day, and this is where like the surfaces come in. So it's like, I'll go and I'll journal, and I'll, in my section of what did I do yesterday, right? So I write down, how do I feel right now? And let's say I'm like, I just woke up in a horrible fucking mood. Like, I don't know why. So I sit down, I write that out. And then I write, what did I do yesterday? And I look at everything I wrote, and then I think about, and I read it back, and I'm like, okay, so I woke up, I had a cup of coffee, I went for a walk with the dog, and then I went to the beach and I checked the waves, and then I got stuck in a traffic jam on the way back after surfing, and then I sat down and the person I set up the meeting with didn't show up, and then I had a fire happen, so I had to get on a call for 2 hours, and then I just look at all of it. And then I'm like, okay, well, like, let me think back. What did having the coffee do for me? Did I get energy or did it take away energy? And I just document it. And you document it for like the first couple weeks, just cataloging it. And then now I've got this, like, it's in my own handwriting. I'm the one who's defined it. No one has done it for me. Now I have a decent idea of how things impact me. So now I'll just go look at yesterday, and I'll look at all the activities I did, and I'll be like, all right, so let's just say I start at a 0. And then I am at a -1. Then I had a -2. So now I'm at -3. I'm out of my dope zone. Then I'm like, and I went all the way down to -5. And then I did a couple activities and I'm back up to -3. So I start just tracking just for awareness. Cause like a phrase that I like kept coming back to at the beginning was like, so create reflection facilitates awareness, which leads to intentionality. Was always kind of like the thing that I came back to. So I was like, first I need to reflect to be aware. And if I'm truly aware, I'll act with intention. Cause like I'm a data dude.
Yeah. I mean,
like I can't really
100%.
argue with data.
Yep.
So then so now I've got this like holistic list, and I'm like, okay, so how I feel right now. So let's say at the end of the day, I've dropped out of the dope zone like 4 times. And then at the end of the day, I ended at like a +2. And I go to bed and I wake up and I'm pissed off. And then I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, I don't get it. Why am I pissed off? And I'm like, this is my brain playing tricks.
Yeah.
So then I've got this data to be like,
support.
You don't have a reason to be pissed off. And it's really easy to switch.
Choosing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a choice.
Yep.
And you can make the decision and the shift more easy because you have something to validate it. A lot of the times we're not doing that reflection. So like, then once I've got all of the data, I've got this catalog of all the activities that I perform at different time increments and the different energetic impacts they have. And I go, okay, so like today I have to do all of these things. I know what I have to do today. But I've got wiggle room in the order that they're done in. And I've got the energy impact, and I know what my zone is to be in like a Zen-like state. Let me move things around to keep me as much in this zone as possible. Like, it's totally cool to dip out.
Yeah.
But like, you want to do whatever you need to get yourself back.
Yep.
So then I have this guiding method to like bring myself intentionally based off of my own reflection and awareness to act with intention to bring myself to Zen. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But now most of the time, like, I'm chill in the way that I approach things like 70-80% of the time now.
Yeah.
Because I've got this reflection tool. So that's like how I help people and have in the past, like, learn how to bring themselves to a place of Zen.
And for this audience, it's super important because when you're getting slammed in the face with fires, employee problems, client fired you, all this stuff, and you just get so down on yourself. And I know me and you have had conversations with business owners who are just so down on themselves that they're like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's important that, and we all urge our clients, make sure you have a one-on-one relationship with someone that you're talking about these feelings to. Have an operating system. Have a peer of business owners that you're around. These are things that are going to allow you to create an environment where you are whole so that you can be the leader that your company needs. Because if you are down from an emotional standpoint, your whole company is going to be down. And you'll see it, the symptoms will start popping up. And from a business standpoint, we see it all the time, is that, the numbers start dipping down, things start slowing down. We're going to stop growing. We're going to stop spending money on this. And it all comes down to the emotional state of the owner, the mindset of the owner. So Clinton, what are some things that an owner can do in addition to the intentional lifestyle thing so that they can be the rock that their team needs, their business needs, and that they can stay in a positive mindset so that they continue to grow?
I would say, like, the biggest thing that I can think of, like, so like there's all these different self-help things that we do, right? And they're all like, you have cold plunge, you have reading, you have journaling, you have all this different slew of things. And we're all doing multiple of them, but they're just not connected. So whether it's the intentional lifestyle design, whatever it is, it's creating it into a system for yourself. Like, therapy is one of those things. Like, therapy is one surface.
Yep.
And everyone just taking the time to recognize that, like, this thing that I'm doing, it's valuable. It helps me. But I need to connect them. Similar to the EOS concept as well. Like, you need a reflection. Like, if you sat down with one of your direct reports and you were like, hey, how's the team doing? They're like, I think we're doing pretty good. Like, I feel really good about everything. There's no way you would accept that as an answer. Like, absolutely not. As a business owner, there's no shot.
Like, what does good look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would break it down.
Yeah.
You need to do that for yourself. Like, the concept
on
of,
a
like,
personal level.
Yeah, like the concept of, like, you're good at it. You're a business owner. You know how to do it. You just need to apply it to yourself.
There's something you said before about sorry to cut you off,
Yeah.
but it was super valuable. We talk about, from an EOS standpoint, from a business standpoint, like the inputs that lead to the outputs. And something that struck me as you were talking about the health biomarkers, I mean, like, super fascinating that you're like, well, even the awareness to recognize that, of like, my inputs in my life are wrong that are causing this. I mean, like, being in your 20s and recognizing that is, like, extremely rare.
So is getting that disease.
True.
Yeah.
Also true.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, whether or not that was forced, that you had to have that perspective, there's people in their businesses right now that don't have that level of awareness to know that my inputs are off. So that's causing this to happen in my business and in my life. So what are some of the things that a business owner could do on a personal level? Like, what are those inputs that lead to the outputs of your business growing, your family's happy, you're happy, your cup's filled, all of those sorts of things?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest one is starting with the journal, like just having a reflection point. And the same way that we, like, encourage and push owners to have a weekly meeting, it's at the same time, same day, same agenda. Same thing with journaling. Journaling at the same time with the same prompts to drive. It's not like, it's not the information that like the actual journaling and writing about how you're feeling or what happened. It's the practice of being consistent with that. Because one day of information is actually kind of useless.
Yeah.
It's having compounded days, the same way when you run a weekly scorecard. Like getting your annual revenue doesn't actually tell you anything.
Yeah.
But like having revenue on a weekly basis allows you to know like when you made decisions that were the right decision, when you have different seasons that are stronger than others, when you spend more money than others. So like the same concept with, it's the compounding effect and the consistency of it. So like journaling, using the same prompts, whatever they are, I don't care, like just do it. And then the second one would be like a personal growth scorecard, similar to a scorecard in concept within your company, but based around like the things that you feel make you a better person, right? So not like, oh, I should read philosophy more. No, you probably fucking should. Like, what is the reading that like actually makes you feel like you're growing and that is easy to do and that you actually enjoy?
Yeah.
Is it going to the gym and doing all of those things and tracking it on a weekly basis? Whatever metric of like whatever crude system you want to use, whether it's yes or no or points and gamifying it or like a check mark, whatever it may be. Having something that you're just tracking to see if you're actually becoming and being the person that you said you wanted to be or failing to do so. Just that alone will bring clarity to you. Paying attention to who you spend your time with.
100%.
Like, I think if you can do, if anything else, journaling, keeping a growth scorecard, just tracking if you're doing the stuff that you said you should be doing to see if you're actually being who you said you want to be. And then just paying attention like I personally think a monthly basis of like reviewing, and you're going to have that data from journaling.
Yep.
Like if you're writing down just simply, you can even ignore how do I feel right now? What do I want for the future? If you're like, that's too woo-woo or bullshit, that's fine. If you just simply document what you did and who you interacted with, you'll be able to pull that data and see who you spent the most time with. And then you can evaluate what kind of impact does this person have on me? If you do those three things at a regular cadence, like journaling 5 days a week. If you're checking this, like just tracking if you did shit for 30 seconds at the end of the day. Did I do anything on this list? Yes or no? Check mark it. And then every month reviewing and going through the journal and just being like, who did I spend the most time with? The easiest is just like the 5 people you interacted with the most.
Yep.
And you just look at that. I'm very confident that anybody who does just those things will gain awareness and will start acting more intentionally.
And that's the starting point. And, I want to wrap this up, but the starting point there is the awareness. And once you then have the awareness, and again, same stuff for business and in life, once you have the awareness, now you can actually start executing. And we all know that's the hardest part. So Clint and I have teamed up here in New Jersey. So there's a lot of business owners that we've been talking to that need help, that want help. And so it was too much for me to be able to handle and help everyone. And so Clint and I have, teamed up here locally because there's so many business owners that I personally talk to. I know you've talked to who are so fed up, and they're literally like a few tweaks away from getting everything they want out of their business so that they then can prioritize their life. And I think the reason for this podcast is for that. I want as many people to know that as possible and believe that they can have everything that they want. It's just a matter of acquiring the knowledge and the skills to be able to do that. So, Clinton, where can people find you? On the IG?
Yeah, on
the IG. Nice.
Yeah, the IG is, this is so stupid. Crawfish-ish. Crawfish like the fish, and then ISH at the end of it. Or the Dope Zone would be the 2 places people can find me. The Crawfish-ish is all the traveling stuff. And the Sumatra, Indonesia things. The dope zone's more pointed at like giving people some more information on how to have downloadable tools, a lot of things I talked about that they could then go do themselves and implement. And then if people are interested in talking more and just like want some guidance, get pointed in the right direction, whatever it may be, available. More than happy to chat with anybody.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on here, buddy.
Thanks for having me on, dude.